Hey everyone, welcome to my presentation on social theories and globalism. Today I'll be looking at globalism through the lens of five major social theorists: Wallerstein, Mills, Harvey, Durkheim, and Merton. Each one offers a different perspective, from global inequality and elite power to neoliberal economics, collective responsibility, and cultural strain. Together, these ideas help us understand how globalism shapes the world in everyday life. Globalism isn't just about the movement of goods or ideas, it's the mindset that our world shares a deep connection. Today, almost every nation is linked through trade, communication, and shared challenges. Like the butterfly effect, a small action on one part of the world can ripple across the planet. We see this in our economies, environments, and cultures. When one market rises or falls, it affects others worldwide. Through technology and media, we now share not only information, but also lifestyle and values. In short, globalism means seeing the world as one interconnected system where cooperation and shared responsibility matter more than ever before. Wallerstein divides the modern world into three zones that work together as one economic system. The core states are wealthy industrial powers that dominate global trade and production. The peripheral area provides raw materials and cheap labor to support the core states, making them economically and politically dependent. And the semi-peripheral area sits in the middle, exploiting the periphery while also being exploited by the core. This three-part isn't accidental. It is built on the backbone of capitalism itself. The result is an asymmetrical dependency in which the periphery always needs the core more than the core needs the periphery. If you look at the global waste trade, you can see Wallerstein's world system in action. The core nation exports waste to avoid costs, while the peripheral nation absorbs it, facing health and environmental consequences. The semi-peripheral states act as a buffer, sometimes taking in, but more often than not passing it down the line. This pattern demonstrates how the world system's asymmetrical dependency still operates today, with the periphery carrying the greatest burden while the core ultimately benefits the most. Mills argues that real power is centered around a small group he calls the power elite. The group is made up of leaders from the big three institutions: economy, politics, and military. These positions give them the ability to make decisions that shape not only national but even global outcomes. Ordinary people have little to no influence over the decisions that affect these large systems, while those in higher circles have wealth, prestige, and authority that overlap one another, reinforcing and strengthening one another. Mill's concept of how the power elite can be seen by how imports and exports work under globalism. The economy drives the movement of goods across the borders, while the politics set tariffs and encourage and discourage trade. At the same time, the military order overlaps by securing the border and preventing illegal goods from entering. Just as Mills described, these big three are interconnected, and together they shape outcomes that affect the people worldwide. Harvey explains that neoliberalism is an economic political system that restructures the state to favor markets, privatization, and deregulation. He argues that society turned to neoliberalism when the old system of embedded liberalism began to fail by the end of the 1960s. Rise in inflation, stagnation, and social unrest created a crisis, leaving the government with two choices: to expand in state control or embrace neoliberal reform. Choosing neoliberalism reestablished power to the elites, but in the long run, this resulted in greater inequality and instability. Harvey explains that after the 1970s crisis, neoliberalism spread through global institutions such as the IMF, World Bank, and WTO. These organizations promoted market-centered reforms, pushing countries to privatize industries, cut regulations, and center their markets around trade. Even though this created a shared global system that was based on competition and profit, it also deepened inequality among nations. In this way, neoliberalism operates through global institutions, showing that the economic power drives modern globalism. Durkheim defines collective consciousness as shared cultures, norms, and moral values that hold society together. In primitive societies, consciousness was very strong and rigid, being met with harsh punishment. In modern societies, the collective consciousness becomes weaker and more flexible, with focusing on restitution and cooperation. But even though it changes, the collective consciousness provides cohesion in defining what is acceptable and what is not. Durkheim argues that in primitive societies, collective consciousness was harsh and punitive, while in modern societies they became less rigid and more focused on cooperation. This shift is important because when we see the same type of collective consciousness developing at a global level, nations no longer respond to environmental damage with punishments, but through shared responsibility, through agreements and cooperative solutions. Climate changes show how collective consciousness has expanded from societies to the entire globe. Merton's strain theory explains deviance as the mismatch between society's cultural goals like success and wealth and the social means to reach them, such as education or hard work. When these goals do not align, individuals experience strain and adapt in different ways. Some conform and follow the rules, while some others innovate by finding new and sometimes even illegal paths. Others ritualize, retreat, or rebel altogether. These 5 adaptations show how people respond to the inequality and social pressure that is placed on them by society. Around the world, American television and social media are spreading cultural goals such as success, beauty, and lifestyle, faster than societies can adapt to them. This creates a strain of pressure since some societies do not have the means to achieve these goals. Just as Merton describes, some cultures innovate by mixing the local practices with global ones, others ritualize by keeping their old customs while still participating in global culture, some rebel by rejecting consumerism altogether. This shows how globalism creates a new form of social strain through the shared goals it spreads. Each of these theories gives us a different way to understand globalism, but for me, Durkheim's concept of collective consciousness best captures globalism today. Wallerstein, Mills, Harvey, and Merton show how global systems create inequality, power, concentration, and cultural strain, and that's crucial. But Durkheim reminds us that societies also depend on shared values and moral connections. The Montreal Protocol of 1987 is a powerful example. Nearly every nation on Earth agreed to protect the ozone layer, showing a global collective consciousness, a shared moral duty that went beyond economics and politics. In the end, globalism isn't sustained by markets or elites alone, but by the people and nations recognizing that what affects one of us affects us all. Thank you for watching my presentation.